What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Jackson Files. Today, we're going to check out a video from a good friend of mine, Ajax the Juggalo. This one is titled The Story of the Night I Was Stabbed. I have no idea what to expect going into this, so I'm looking forward to this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you tuning into my channel. If you like true crime content, music content, as well as comedy, then you've come to the right place. Please consider joining my YouTube memberships and my Patreon. And I will put a link to the original video in the description as well. So please go show Ajax some love and let him know what you thought on the video. Let's get right into this. This is the story of the night I was stabbed by Ajax the Juggalo.
What up, YouTube? So I kind of wanted to make this video. I know it's kind of different from what I've been making recently. I'm still gonna do the Wreckfest content um, the majority of the time on this channel, but I don't know. I was thinking that a real life story of of something I've been through that actually not a lot of people know. I think would be something I'd like to dive into. So that's what I'm going to do with this video. If you enjoy my content, enjoy what you see, please consider subscribing, giving this video a like. But I'm going to talk about the night I was stabbed. Um, I would have been 18 years old. Um, I was living in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. Um, basically, really the first time I lived partially alone in my life. So it was kind of a big step. I had workers and stuff come during the day.
Let me just say, it is definitely a big step living on your. I remember when I went down to college for the first time and I lived in a pretty big step away from being with my parents, especially it was 4 hours away from my. If I had any feedback so far, Ajax, at the beginning of the video, I would look into the camera more, so your audience isn't looking like up your nose, because that's kind of where I was focused on for some reason, because it was the middle of the screen. But I'm kind of interested to see where this story's gonna go.
Um, just to see if I was all right and stuff. But yeah, I was alone during the night. So and it kind of got lonely. So I kind of wanted to invite a friend over and stuff. And I was always kind of an introvert, so the only people I could really that I felt comfortable enough um to hang out with was like the criminals, the druggies, the um those kind of people. The people that break laws, the homeless people, those were the people I felt I could hang out with, mainly because I didn't have a high self-esteem.
Sounds like that's problem number one in getting stabbed.
I looked at myself like I was every single one of them, kind of thing. Um, so basically, what happened was I had this person who I was talking with. I'd run into downtown Medicine Hat all the time. I'm not going to say names for confidential reasons, but I didn't really know him that well. He was mentally challenged. He always kind of walked around. He had a weird strut. He breathed weird. A person in your head you would think is harmless. But anyways, so I invited him over to my house one night. So he came over. For the first like 25 minutes, he was chill. You know, um, he didn't act really weird. Consider well for what he was. Well, he wasn't acting weird or anything. But randomly he tells me he has a friend coming over. And I'm like, okay,
That's
because I
weird.
wasn't really expecting anyone else to come over here, just him. So I was kind of taken aback by that, but I eventually was like, okay. But anyways, this person comes. It turned out to be
I would have been like, wait a minute, you got somebody else coming to my house? Like, no thanks. Like, fuck out.
uh two people. It was this girl and her boyfriend, I will say. And then they also had a dog that they brought. And now I have no idea if we were allowed dogs in that or animals in that place. That's probably was my least concern. I just didn't care. But it was just kind of getting weird that all these strangers were coming into my house, right? But I didn't say anything originally. I was just kind of I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of went with it. And then I find out that um they wanted they wanted this guy that I was hanging out with to get them some meth.
Wow.
Um and I kind of was like, what the hell's going on right now? Kind of I didn't know what to do, right? I didn't really want any of that stuff coming anything like near me. Um I mean, I tried meth when I was younger, only once, but I wasn't really deeply into that scene. I tried staying away from it, even though I hanged out with a lot of meth addicts. But I only did it once. But
Let me just say that you're one of the only people that say I only did that. It straight up ruined my life.
basically, so they met with this dealer because I guess my friend, he was kind of like the hookup guy. So he hooked up. He contacted a dealer. They came out, and I told them meet down on the main floor on the outside. I don't want this deal to take place in my house. So they did. Um, then they came back up, and basically he went into the bathroom, my bathroom, and started smoking through a pipe meth, and I was kind of like, now I really started feeling uncomfortable because they're starting to do meth in my place, and I said I didn't want, but I didn't want to say anything. I was fearful of saying anything because I know what meth can do to people. Is it makes them they can go from 0 to 100 in like a second. So I was I was scared of it reaching to the point of it getting physical or
Now, I will say, like, if you thought that you were not brokering, but like you were arranging a deal for them to get drugs, but you didn't want it to take place in your house, but they were coming back into your house, safe to assume that they're going to do the drugs in your house, coming from my perspective.
them getting losing it, right? Because I was fearful of that. So I just shut up and stayed
I
quiet.
do understand where, because I got stories for days, but I do understand when you're in an awkward situation that you don't really want to be, but you have to just kind of like keep your cool and just hope you get through. Um, 'Cause sometimes that's the best way to handle situations, but it's definitely never like a comfortable place to be in.
Um, so then basically um, after he was done in the bathroom, this couple they decided to go in there and then they have sex in my freaking bathroom. And
Wow.
that's another thing. I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing? This is my house and they're bouncing around like it's theirs. So then I knew things were gonna get in trouble, but I still didn't say anything. And then the couple, they started getting into a fight.
Sounds
So
about
her
right.
boyfriend kind of fucks off, leaves the place, and takes the dog with him, basically. And that was the last time I ever seen them. Um, but then she was like, "Okay, I want some of what this guy has, so I want to go buy some meth." So she asked this guy to call another dealer, um, as she did, as he did, I should say, and they came up uh over here. This guy I actually knew from before, um, around town. I didn't know him overly well, but like I talked to him and stuff. So he kind of was one of those dealers where I know now you don't really trust anybody, but especially to people doing that. But I don't know. I trusted him enough to let him come up to the door, kind of thing. So he come up, um, basically made this deal with this girl, um, and basically she bought the stuff, and then and then he left, and then she started trying it, and she tried it for like a few times, I guess, and then was quiet about it. I was kind of minding my own business, like more thinking of what the fuck's gonna happen if these people catch drug addicts in here. I'm gonna get kicked out of the place, right? I was freaking out, but I was trying not to say anything because I didn't want my anxiety to affect these people that have been doing meth the wrong way and then making the situation even worse. So I
Right.
was kind of, I was just sitting there quiet. And then she just started freaking out on this guy that I invited into my home, that invited all these other people into my home. And basically she she just snapped on him and was basically like, "This is not what I paid for. This is low quality meth. This is shit." Which honestly, is there even a high quality of meth? It's like fucking chemicals mixed together. But let's be on the point. Um. So yeah,
I will say from my experience, and I hate that I have this experience, but there's definitely a difference what you get from people, and people try to pull one over. Definitely not a not a situation that you want to be. The whole thing in general, obviously. But it's a very bad industry as far as honest people go.
she was just freaking out, saying it wasn't good enough. So this guy, he basically tried calling back the dealer to come back, or well, either of them, that he was talking to before, and they just didn't answer. So from that point, she was just kept getting madder and madder and madder, and those two kept arguing in my house. And I didn't know what to do because, like, things are getting aggressive. Anything can happen in this situation. And I don't really know either of them overly that well. And I was also drinking a little bit before, so my mind was kind of like, I wasn't drunk, but I was more slower, I guess. I was buzzed, so I didn't know. I was trying to figure out what was going on. So eventually, I ended up picking the guy invited over side and being like, "Calm down, like this is my house." And I motioned this guy to stay, and I kind of motioned. I'm like, "So can you please like leave to this girl? Like I don't want to get in trouble in this place. This is my house. I don't want you here." But I was trying to be kind about it. So eventually she did act. She got up and she walked over to the door, but at the door there's also the kitchen that was on the right hand side. If you're walking towards the door from the inside, and basically the left side, if you're coming in through the door into the place. But there's also a wall like where the fridge and stuff would be, facing towards the living room. So there was kind of a blind area there. So what she did was she opened the door and shut the door, indicating she left when she never left. She went and hid under or beside the fridge there, so
Fuck.
that blind spot. So I went over to to not only shut the door to make sure it's shut, but to lock it because I didn't want her back in my place. But while I was doing that, all I seen was this blur from the side of my eye, and it happened so quick. She cut me right here. I still have that mark. Now, thankfully, that cut wasn't extremely deep.
Not
It
only
was
did she cut you, but she cut you on your face and your neck. That's crazy, man.
more of a flesh wound than anything. But I was more, I didn't know what the hell happened. I was shocked. Like, your brain doesn't comprehend it. And I didn't feel anything. And I didn't even notice I was really stabbed until I started feeling this cold, like the feeling of blood. But I didn't even know if it was blood. It was like I thought it was like water. It was like cold water dripping down your skin. Like I didn't know what just hit me. And then I touched it and realized it was blood, and then it started cluing in I was stabbed. Um, and then also I looked down at my arm right here, and this was a lot of a deeper cut. So what she did was not only did she go for my neck, right afterwards she went into like a Z motion and she got my arm as well. And the arm one did go deep. So, and I didn't even feel that. It was just like it was like a cold sensation. It happened so quickly.
What a
It didn't
psycho.
hurt. It almost kind of tickled. Um, which was kind of weird. But so and then she backed us out into the living room area, and then she got fighting with this guy again, and she stabbed him a few times and cut him. I have no idea if his cuts were severe or not. I know he didn't go into the hospital at any point. So I'm guessing not. But anyways, um, she just started screaming, and when we were both sitting down, she started destroying all my stuff. I had a brand new TV, flat screen TV, and I had a brand new Xbox One when I first one I ever got, the first Xbox One I ever had, and she just picked it up and smashed it onto the ground. She threw something, I have no idea what, at the TV, and it was like a hole through it.
What a psycho.
Like you could see the wall through the TV. It was nuts. This girl like lost it. She destroyed half my CD collection. There was a tons of shit that was just all over. It was a mess. And at this point, I'm still fucking bleeding, trying to clue in what the hell. Honestly, it's kind of funny looking back now. I was more mad about her destroying my Xbox and TV than the point I was stabbed. But anyways, and she just started screaming, and I tried calming down the situation where this guy kept making it worse. Um, and eventually I kind of got her to sympathize with me a little bit because I was kind of just caught in the crossfires of this, you know. Um, I had nothing to do with this deal. I had nothing. I was just the wrong place, wrong time, and I was stupid and trusting this guy to come over. That's basically was my mistake. Um, so I I kind of more I was like, okay, well at this point she's not going to necessarily leave, but I can try calming her down. Um cuz I was kind of a quick thinker back I just with my ADHD, I was able to put that stressful situation and just use my persuasion and my voice to kind of relate. So I talked to her and she ended up breaking down eventually. Um, I took her over actually to my bedroom away from this guy to split them up. But she had the door open to make sure he didn't run out the door. But me and her were talking and we talked for like probably 2 hours, like an hour. And this is like half that hour, about half an hour, I had nothing covering up my cuts or anything. Um, and I just started talking to her and she told me her story, like she had a kid and she got raped, I guess, and she got her kid got taken away from her and then she got into meth and she was from Quebec originally and moved came down here. She was never really from there. She was only there for like 2 weeks and she came there to like deal with the problems, I guess. She was from like one of those drug families and kind of trying to smarten up what's going on there. The smart like basically like settle the score with certain people and stuff, I guess. I don't know. I didn't understand it that much. But I kind of just like I said, I calmed her down and she started crying. She more felt bad that she just did what she did to me. Um, then like it was more like I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that
The back of his mind, like TV and my Xbox.
I did this to you. With the other guy though, like I'm honest to God, thought she was gonna kill him, and he kept making it worse and worse and worse. He kept like saying stupid shit and pissing her off. So at that point, I didn't know what to do really, other than just keep her calm. And so at the point she was calm, and she kind of I almost like you hear when you kind of get close and friendly a little bit to your captives or the people that are abusing you, like in a way like you gain some weird twisted connection with them. I kind of gained that with her. um and I basically asked for like a wet cloth because I didn't have any band-aids or shit, so I was just asking for like a wet face cloth. And I put that over my neck and arm, switching back and forth. And I applied pressure to it. But at that point, things started getting dizzy. Like I was losing pressure into the head and brain. I was getting dizzy. But thankfully, I used to have dizzy spells, like bad dizzy spells as a kid growing up. So I kind of was used to it. Um, I knew exactly what to do to keep myself conscious, which I had to do at this point. Because if I lost conscious, I probably would have bled out, and God knows what happened. Um, you know. So I kept doing that. She offered me cigarettes, and I smoked a lot of them during that point. And I think that kept like me going. I could keep my heart rate down a bit. Even in a stress situation, that kind of slowed my heartbeat down. So it lessened the blood coming out. But thankfully, I was able to survive through that. And then multiple hours go by. I always said about 9 hours until everything was over, but I'll say about 7 hours. She finally decides to let this guy go. She's like, I want you to go. Don't say anything to anyone or I'll kill you, was basically her words. Um, and he ended up leaving, never saying anything. No cops came, nothing. And at that point, it's really kind of hard to remember because it was just time went, time almost seemed to go quicker at that point. It was weird. Um, until eventually she's like, all right, so here's the plan. You promised me you're not gonna tell anyone. You're gonna tell. Um, you're gonna go to the doctors and just basically say, like, well, actually, she told me not to go to the doctors, and she told me to somehow fix this myself, which is purely stupid. But basically, what she did was like we ended up having some like old like those roll up bandages that you can get like first aid freaking kits and stuff. We had one of those, and it was like she poorly wrapped my arm up. And at this point, my neck one stopped bleeding. Like I said, it wasn't a deep cut, so it just stopped bleeding. Where my arm, though, that she wrapped that up into like a kind of like a bandage sling. Um, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm going to leave. Um, just try spinning up some story if anybody asks about it." And then she basically told me the same thing. If you say anything to anybody, I'll kill you. That was basically the whole thing. So for another hour after she left, which she did leave, and I locked the door when she left. The second she walked out that door, I locked the door, and thankfully she didn't stay in the house at that point. That was ironically the last time I ever seen her. Um, I sat in my room for about 30 to 45 minutes contemplating what to do. At first I was thinking like, okay, I bet I better not tell anybody, but then I realized in probably 3 or 4 hours, one of my workers was supposed to come during the morning. And I'm like, well, they're gonna obviously notice that. There's something majorly wrong there. And it's like I just couldn't get out and lie about it. Like, everyone would know. So then I call a few people before I called 911 and I asked their opinions on it, and they all said call 911. So eventually I was like, okay, I have to do this. I called the police. Um, about 25 minutes later, I get a knock on the front door. Um, basically, it's the police. And I open it. Um, and it was this male cop. He was British. I dealt with him before. And this woman cop who I don't remember overly much, but he waltzed in, looked around, looked at me, um, didn't seem to overly care much that I was cut open or anything. He just kind of more questioned me, and looked around, and she kind of did the same thing, um, but was more quiet. She was just kind of looking around. And afterwards, after basically I told the story of what happened, he looked at me and said, "You know what? I think you're lying to me." And I'm like, "What?" And he said these very words: "I think you did it to yourself for attention."
What?
And at that moment, I did not know how to feel because I had a long history in my life of things happening to me and me telling somebody about it and not believing me. And at this point, it was kind of one of those situations where I'm like, okay, like that was the least of my concerns because it was obvious. All my shit was destroyed. I was cut deep. I even showed the cuts to them. I didn't have a history of cutting to, especially to that point that was that deep in. Like there was a hole in my arm. So after that, I was just shocked. And eventually, my worker actually came in while they were still asking me all these questions. And he introduced himself to the police and came in. And thankfully, this worker was a worker that was kind of a no BS. He didn't take bullshit from anyone. And he looked at me, looked at my arm, and he was also a part time nurse. So he knew this shit was like, it was bad. And he is like, excuse me, officer, I'm pretty sure Alex here is telling the truth. He wouldn't have done this. This is not out of character for him. He wouldn't have destroyed his video game console. The video game console was his life. Was basically what I remember him saying. That actually kind of made me laugh, giggle a little bit, because it was kind of like it was a light sentence in a dark moment of I don't, darkness, and I managed to. He convinced them to take me to the hospital, so I went to the hospital. I got 9 stitches in my arm. I don't know. It's really hard to see now. It's kind of you can see it, but 9 stitches over that. They basically just put like a band-aid kind of thing over my neck. And that was about it. And they continuously and then they came back and they questioned me more. And all I basically told them, like I told them the same thing. They asked for a name, and ironically, the only person's name I really remembered was the 2 drug dealers. Um, who the police said was a fake name, or so they were trying to say. His name was kind of a weird name, but what was interesting too is I looked up that name and I found him on Facebook under that name. So that's kind of comedic, but anyways, and then the other guy, he didn't really do much in this whole thing. He had nothing really to do with it, so I didn't tell them really about him. I left his name out of it. But the third guy that brought all these fucking idiots here, I said his name in a heartbeat. And maybe people call me a snitch, but he was the reason I got stabbed. I let him into my house acting like I was gonna be his friend, and this is how he repaid me. So the police went to ask him a bunch of questions. And he refused to speak on it. He was like, "I'm not snitching," basically. So the cops just was like, "Okay," and let him go. So they finally ended up saying, "All right, well, we'll keep an eye out for a late 20s, maybe early 30s-year-old Native American girl and a white guy with a beard and this dog." I really don't think they looked at all. I really don't. But anyways, I went back to the place with a full amount of people, like my workers. My parents ended up coming up there, and we were just gonna try cleaning shit up, which we did, and throw out anything that was broken. Because the police didn't even offer like payments or a court opportunity to like get money or and I didn't have insurance, so of all of the stuff that was broken with my personal things. Now I did have what do they call it, like insurance for the actual place itself, so if there was any marks and stuff and blood on the walls, that was all insured. So that, thankfully, and the manager of the place, he was a really nice guy, so he let me get away with that. Um, but we ended up cleaning, and I went home here. And I really never went back to Medicine Hat until I got with one of my exes. And I moved back up there for a couple months, but that's another story. Um, but yeah, the British cop that was acted like an ass to me and tried spinning this story of me stabbing myself. He never got in trouble. They gave me an opportunity to really take actions further, to call this number and kind of tell what happened, report it. I didn't bother with that because honestly, nobody really they don't give a shit. They really don't. At least that was my attitude back then, and I still don't think they would have done anything. But this person never got caught. I don't remember her name. I really don't. I don't know if she's alive anymore, but as of right now, I know she was never arrested for the crime of assaulting me with a deadly weapon, and very well could have almost attempted murder, basically. Because if that stab
does make me wonder, like, where's the knife that she stabbed you with? Is that at your house? I mean, couldn't they get fingerprints off of that, or fingerprints off something at your house to catch this?
the neck would have went any deeper, that would have cut my jugular vein, and I would have been dead. So that's my story on the night I was stabbed and held hostage for multiple hours. I always say 9, but I can't remember exactly how many hours I was held hostage. But anyways, I hope you learned something from my experience. I hope that's why I'm sharing this, is I'm hoping that something positive can be found out of that bad of a story. If you have any stories you want to share, you can in the comments. I'll definitely read through them. Please share this video around. It would mean a lot for more people to hear my story. But thank you for watching.
It's definitely a very crazy story and crazy experience, man. I don't want to say similar stories, but I have some pretty out there stories as well. If I ever decided to speak on them like this, it had to take a little bit of courage and humility for you to even talk about this. So I appreciate you bringing it to light, and I do think that some people will find a moral of the story in this. Um, learn from it on how to deal with certain situations, or how to not put yourself in certain that could end up like this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I appreciate you tuning in. Ajax, thanks for sharing this with us. Everybody stay safe. I'll see you guys next time.
When I look up at the sky, I just wonder. See